Hey, and welcome back to Life Unscripted. This week, I'm going to start by asking Sarah how her week was.
Oh, that's
Sarah,
nice
how was
of
your
you.
week? Yeah, it feels kind of weird always just transitioning from the welcome back to Life Unscripted into like just talking
Yeah, it
normally.
always feels a bit false, doesn't it? But it's not, I feel like do we need a jingle?
I don't. It's not that it feels false. It just feels so jarring.
It feels so scripted
Nah,
versus unscripted.
maybe. Nah, it's like jarring. It's like da 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 da.
That's why we need a
How
jingle.
was your day? Yeah,
We need
maybe-
a jingle to
maybe.
fade out. Does anybody want to write us a jingle?
Yeah, someone write us a jingle. A jingle would be. I don't know if we need a jingle.
We need a little doodly doo doo.
Anyway, maybe that would help, but
It would help.
just an intro may help. But that would maybe take the pressure off me needing to feel like it needs what I say needs
It
to be
takes
an intro.
about 20 minutes before Chris can get going. It's very funny.
It's not been 20 minutes. And Sarah said it's been like 10, and Sarah says that like you're not half of the problem.
What? I'm trying to help you.
No, I mean by half the problem, I mean you're also taking a while to get going sometimes.
Sometimes, but I'm not the one with the burden to start us off.
No, and I don't mind starting us off. It's fine, but it's the two of us.
Yeah.
But probably mostly me. Yeah, it's just
So
because
you've got the worst end of the stick straw because you're trying to
the
start
stick
us
straw.
off. Stick straw.
I love a stick
I'm
straw.
not sure which one.
No, I don't mind
Is it the
starting
worst end of
off.
the stick or worst end of the straw? No, it's the short end of the straw. No, the short straw. Short straw.
The short straw.
You've got the short straw. Everybody picks them
I
up.
like introing. I don't mind starting. I've not quite worked out how to have it flow nicely from like. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe it's totally fine.
Maybe people don't really care.
Maybe people
Because
don't
the
care.
start of it's like 5 seconds and then we're in it.
I guess it's more just
we
for
just chat
me
rubbish.
feeling like flowing nice. It
Yeah.
feels jarring. It feels jarring for me.
Next week I'll write you a song, okay? We'll start off.
You're going to
with
write the jingle.
performance. I'm going to be the jingle.
You're going to
My
write a
middle
jingle.
name is Jingle.
To be fair, I was actually singing a song on camera not long before this. That could be the jingle.
Oh, you were. I don't think that should ever reach public eyes.
A few minutes earlier,
I'm your biggest fan of falling
You heard a new song?
until you love me. You know if not. Paparazzi.
Called Abracadabra.
Abracadabra. I said abracadabra like Houdini.
But she's like-
magicians going
It's like
abracadabra, put a spell on
bad
you.
romance vibes.
Like abracadabra,
You're not
put a
listening to
spell on you. Like
It's like bad
abracadabra, you
romance
don't
vibes.
love me. Well, bam, now you do. I put a spell on you.
Is that recording? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's like bad romance vibes.
Released on Spotify. Chris, abracadabra cover. Anyway, how was your week?
How was my week? Busy, out of routine, probably is a good word to say. It wasn't my standard.
One day in, out of routine.
Oh, I was
2
talking
days
about end of last week, I guess. Well, the week that we've had since we last spoke. Well, last aired on the tube,
On the interwebs.
on the interwebs, on the tinternet.
The what?
The tinternet.
What's that?
The internet.
The tinternet?
And Bookface.
Huh?
Bookface.
You just saying words.
Facebook.
What are you talking about? Oh, Bookface. And, oh,
Chat Snap.
Tinternet. I see.
Chat Snap.
Tinternet. I
Yeah.
see. What? Chat Snap.
Yeah.
Gram Insta. Worked it out. We've got the system.
Yeah, so my week was a bit of out of routine, I would say. I had a big exhibition at work, so I wasn't in my usual 9 to 5. I was on my feet all day, and it was quite a contrast from sitting at my wee desk to then being on my feet. It was really good fun. I need to remember the perspective of it though. I had a great opportunity. It was amazing to be able to be involved with so many other exhibitors. It was an incredible opportunity. It's just hard work, and especially for like I'm reasonably fit just for someone that sits at their desk all day, then jumping in and doing like 20,000 odd steps was quite a shock. So I came home and I slept most of the weekend, which was lovely. So thanks. But it was good fun. I had a good time. It's just I find it hard coming in and out of the routine, and the script will always try and get me to be like, "You're going to have a rubbish week this week because you're not prepared."
Mm.
But I had to rest at the weekend. If I didn't, I would have been less of a person this week. So I just need to take my moment, and it's okay. I'll get back on it at the weekend. to be like, I mean, prepping isn't like meal prepping, organizing myself for the week, that sort of thing. So just whenever I'm out of routine, I just feel a bit not myself. So
I get that.
But how was your week?
My week was good. I am attempting to create more routine.
Ooh, how's that going for you?
Yeah, good. I started using this thing called Motion, which has been helpful. It's like this AI. What's the word? It's like a
Personal assistant?
Yeah, I guess personal assistant is kind of what it is. It's like a
Like an AI diary, I guess.
AI diary. Yeah, so I like give it. I tell it everything I need to do, when I need to do. Obviously, so it has tasks and events. Events are things that can't change. So like, I have a client between 11 and 12 on a Friday. Like the AI knows. I've set that as an event. So the AI knows not to move it because it can't be moved.
Can anyone have access to this diary?
No,
Dinner with Sarah.
We could do a Teams one, yes. But then there's tasks. So tasks will move around.
Yeah.
And depending on how you there's so many things you can do with the tasks and how you split them up and prioritize them. And the AI will basically organize your week so that you can get as much done as you can inside the time that you've allocated.
And you feel like it's helping?
Yeah, it's helping because you're saying you don't really like it when you're out of routine. I don't really
need a routine.
I probably need a routine. Yeah, I'm like don't really have a routine. And to be fair, I think it's been really helpful. I have started to establish more of a routine, and it's been. I mean, I do have my clients very similar times every week, so I do have that routine just because most of my clients stay in the same time slots when I see them. So that does remain as a routine that I can't change. But in terms of outside of that, I have been slowly, I've not tried to go too much too soon. So I've been really now quite consistent with going. I've started training in the morning first thing.
Yeah.
Getting up at 6:30, 7 o'clock, go to the gym. And that's something that's been a very consistent part of my routine. And just then that's I've used that as the anchor.
Yeah.
And I've just built on top of that. So it's I'm home and then have my breakfast, or I go to clients or whatever. And obviously there's some mornings where I have clients earlier and that can't work exactly like that. But it's been just trying to have somewhat of a routine and using that going to the gym in the morning as the anchor to build off the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been really, really helpful. And it's just been slowly adding more structure to my routine so it's not so all over the place.
And how do you feel during the day now after training in the morning?
Yeah, way better.
Really good?
Well, yeah, really good in the sense that I don't get any crash from so right now I'm kind of in a phase where I'm trying to eat a little bit more food to build some more muscle and strength. So I'm in a bit of a calorie surplus to do that, support that to the best I can. And that does result in me feeling a little bit more tired because you're eating a little bit more food. Yeah. So then that kind of slump you get in the afternoon after a meal is more prevalent. I've noticed when I'm in a bit of a surplus. However, by exercising in the morning, I've essentially mitigated that entirely. So by now training in the morning, I'm not really having any problems with. I have 4 meals a day purely because I like to split up across 4 meals opposed to 3. There's no other reason other than it just is a bit more convenient for me because I'm eating a little bit more food because I'm quite active and need to eat quite a lot of food in order to get enough calories in to actually be in a surplus. Which sounds like the dream to some people I know, but
I'm joking.
I have lost lots of kilos of body fat and gained lots of kilos as well. And losing, I actually find a lot easier than gaining. In terms of deliberately for a sustained period of time, trying to deliberately gain weight at a slightly faster pace is quite difficult.
I guess it's also because you're so active.
I'm very active.
You're kind of fighting against yourself. See, if you were doing my job, gaining weight wouldn't be very difficult.
I don't have a sedentary job, but I don't struggle to get 10,000 steps. But anyway, yeah, so trying to just fit across 4 meals is easier for me, more convenient. Just with my work as well, trying to sit down, have one big meal, just prepping 2 smaller meals for the day. But yeah, I've been feeling really good exercising in the morning. Sometimes in the morning when you get up a bit earlier, especially when it's so dark outside, you can be a bit I don't want to, but I always feel much better for having done it.
And see, because obviously you're training very hard, lifting heavy weights. Mm-hmm. See, whenever you're training at that time in the morning, do you feel like you're performance-wise still as good as you are as you would be in the afternoon or in the middle of the day?
Well, no, I've not noticed. So I maybe spend a few extra minutes warming up at the start, but I mean, I track everything I'm doing, and I've not really regressed for having trained in the morning. And I'm also training totally fasted. Like I don't eat anything before. I have a decaf coffee.
Yeah.
I don't drink any caffeine anymore. So I got up with my coffee machine in order to be ready, and I'll just put a decaf coffee in my to-go cup, whatever it's called.
I just
and
wonder
then I go gym.
if sometimes, I mean, everybody's different, but sometimes if I was to go to the gym in the morning, I feel like I'm a lot weaker. But I think it might just be the script. Like it's mind over matter. I think at that time in the morning sometimes.
I think that's it. And
like if you're looking at two people, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, I don't think physicality there's much difference. One might just be a little bit more like not quite awake.
I mean, I know some people do like. Some people prefer in the sense that they're warmer, they've been moving more, but they also have eaten a bit more food. But I've never personally had any problem or noticed much of a difference training, like having eaten something versus having not eaten. Like, so I'm eating in the morning, training in the morning versus in the afternoon. I've never noticed a massive difference personally. And, you know, maybe I would actually, because I wasn't training in the morning when I was in a deficit. So maybe it would make a difference then. Yeah. I think because I'm in a surplus, there's just such an abundance of food.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Your body's like, woo.
Well, I just don't think I'm like, when I get up in the morning, it's not like the food from last night, the night before will have disappeared. It's like,
you can still get energy off of it.
Yeah. I mean, my body's sugar stores or glycogen stores will be full. Like I'll still have protein in my digestive system from the night before. Like it's not, it's not made a big difference in terms of at the moment. It's not felt so different.
And see, whenever you're getting up in the morning, do you feel like, how easy do you find it to get up? Do you find like the script ever comes in and is like...
The script is always there first thing every morning. Like the script will be on scene.
For you or for...
Oh, for me, yeah.
Yeah.
The script will be on scene before my own consciousness is on scene. Like, it's like I wake up in the morning, the script's already attacking me about like my productivity for the day or my ability to actually stick to the routines that I've set or my ability to go to the gym. And I also just think, in a sense, that's why going to the gym in the morning has been super helpful as well, because it's such an anchor for my routine, but also as like an FU to the script. Like it's
so you
wrong
just
again.
Get up. You just ignore it and you just get up. Like you try not to listen to it, or you just know it's going to be there.
Yeah, I think something that's really helped me as well is that I really, really value the gym and value what I get from it. And I also value, because I've got some goals with a business that I'd really like to pursue, and I just, when I was exercising in the afternoon, it was just really hampering my ability to get enough done during the day. Like it's really easy for the day to run, because obviously I don't have this like 9-to-5 job that I'm tied into. I have somewhere in the realm of like maybe 2 to 6 clients that I have to see that day in person. And then other than that, the day's completely what I decide to do with it. And when I was just training in the afternoon, I just feeling it was just feeling a bit too disruptive for me personally. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas if I train in the morning, it's like I've trained, I've got from it what I wanted in terms of I've got stronger, I've made gains, I'm feeling good for having moved my body, and then I'm also more energetic throughout the day. But now I've also got all this extra time in the afternoon, just because, you know, by the time I have to have lunch in the afternoon, right?
Yeah.
So let's say if I go to the gym, so I have to get to the gym, and then I have to train, and then I have to get back from the gym, and then I have lunch, and then maybe I even shower if I've been at the gym. So it ends up being like 90 minutes to, you know, somewhere between 90 minutes and 2 hours sometimes, where that's just eating up the whole middle part of my day.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually in the gym for about an hour. But I'm not doing anything else in the morning between like 6:30 and 7:30. So if I just got up and go then, I've got my hour in the gym, and then I come home, have my shower, have breakfast, and then I can still have, you know, 20-30 minutes for lunch, and that's not disruptive. That's actually a nice break during the day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just get up and go. And you get used to it. Like, I do think like not dilly-dallying in the morning, I think is the wise thing. Like you can't just stay, like don't snooze your phone.
Yeah,
what I've actually started doing is, so I use my watch, which is like a buzzer. It buzzes, it doesn't make noise, which is really nice. But then I'll set my phone about 3 minutes after my watch here. So say my watch is set for 6:30 in the morning, my phone will be set for 6:33, and my phone will make a lot of noise. And you're in the bed, so I know I've really only got 3 minutes to get up and deal with my phone before it starts making noise. So it means I'm not going to spend more than 3 minutes in the bed. And I actually snooze my watch as well. So my watch goes off at 6:30. I'll snooze it. I know it's going to go. If you snooze it, it goes 9 minutes later. I don't know why. I don't know if I can even change that setting. It's just randomly what it's set at. So I know it's going to buzz next at 9:39. So it's like I've got kind of 2 checkpoints. Checkpoint 1 is get out of the bed before the phone goes off. And then checkpoint 2 is I'm trying to be ready to leave by the time this goes off again. So from the moment I've woken up to the moment I'm preparing to leave the door with my coffee, with my water, and my gym clothes, it's been 9 minutes.
That's
so
good.
I'm just trying to get out the door as quickly as possible. So that also, and I made a reel about this on Instagram recently, that also requires that I'm prepared from the night before. My gym clothes are out. My coffee is in the machine ready to go. My water bottle's filled. My keys and my headphones are already at the door. So I've got, I can go up and do the toilet. I can do this with my head and my hair. And then I can do all the other stuff and get out under 9 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just got to do it.
I know, I feel like when I was younger, I didn't really struggle with it. Like I used to always get up in time for school. Like I'd be early for school. I never struggled with getting up and getting ready. I was always ready the night before. It was probably thanks to my parents. But when I got up in the morning, I never ever struggled. Then only probably even more recently, like I don't know if it's the dark mornings or whatever, but I find it so hard to get up. And now I'm like, it's the script. Just get up. Like stop snoozing your alarm and stop staying in bed and scrolling on your phone. Like just get up, because then the second I go on my phone, I feel terrible. Not even just like looking at nonsense on Instagram or TikTok, like I'm just scrolling, and then whatever effect that's having, I just feel awful. And then I think there's something to do with see if you snooze your alarm and you begin the next sleep cycle, it takes like, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this with the numbers, but it's like 60 to 75 minutes you're in your next sleep cycle. So then by the time you've kind of dozed off and you've woken back up, that's why you feel so groggy. Well, if you just wake up, you're at the end of your sleep cycle and you're awake. But if you try and attempt to fall back asleep in the next hour, whenever you're up and about, you feel awful, but because your body's thinking you're trying to fall back asleep. So it's really worth just to get up, and I should take my own advice, but it's really hard.
I think this is also why I've been trying to create this like more of a routine, because we spoke in a previous podcast about trying to have like an easier life.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of those examples of, it doesn't maybe feel great in the moment, but it does lead to an easier life down the road. And that's why I'm also trying to create this routine in other areas of my life, like with my business and with anchoring off the gym in the morning, just because it's actually quite painful for me to do in a way. Like it's painful is maybe the wrong word. It's quite tricky for me to do. It's not something I'm well practiced at, but I know the more I do it, the easier my life gets.
Yeah.
The more I choose to do the things that in the moment I'm maybe like, I can't be arsed, but then I do them. It makes my life easier.
I think it comes down to self-deserving as well, like feeling like you're self-deserving. Because even last night, and bless you, you've been amazing with like getting all of our chores done and like getting the dishes all organised and stuff. And I've come off the back of quite a busy week.
All part of the routine.
Last night with my insulin pump, my insulin had near enough finished, and I had to change my infusion set. And for any other diabetics out there, like for other people, it'd be like, it takes 2 minutes, just go change it. For me, it felt like the biggest effort in the world. And I was like, I cannot be bothered to go upstairs, get all my bits and bobs and change. And this is literally like, if I don't have this, I won't survive.
I mean, yeah.
And I was literally at a moment where I was like, I can't be bothered. Like, I do not want, like, if someone gave it to me, yeah, sure, I'd do it. But I was like, I don't want to go do this. And I was like, I will literally die if I don't have this insulin. Like, it's ridiculous. But I think it comes from a place of the script coming in and I don't feel self-deserving of it, which is ludicrous. Like, come on. But it's all like little steps towards it. And I think sometimes if I get into this cycle of like, it's dark nights and dark nights. It was dark. Nights are always dark. It's dark mornings. There isn't a lot of daylight. I am going into work and coming home in the dark. I'm not getting much sunlight. I'm really trying to make the most of it at the weekends, but the sun's not really out at the moment. So I think a lot of us are on our last reserves of vitamin D and energy. And I think that's maybe why I'm so tired. But when you're in that cycle of being tired, and you're kind of in hibernation mode. You're not really like, it's not summertime where you can eat slightly less. And I always feel in the summer, like I always feel better, yes, because it's summer and the sun's out. But the types of foods you're eating, I feel like in the winter, I'm always like a little hibernating bear. So I just really struggle during the winter. I feel like it's all that seasonal depression thing. But I don't know. I just, I struggle at the moment to get up in the mornings.
I guess it's like, it is. So, but it's also, it is a case of it. I do think that modern life and winter don't really go hand in hand.
No, they don't.
Like,
Why are we living in a society in which we have to get up when it's dark?
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
And we're setting New Year's resolutions, and it's like middle of winter.
I think that's the thing. People generally would sleep a bit more in winter, and they would like you try and get out during the day into light. It's just that I guess.
I think we should start a revolution.
Okay.
And we change the way the world works during the daylight hours.
I mean, I've just done that for myself.
Yeah, I can't.
Well, I just created a career where I can.
Oh.
Well, I don't I still get up early. But I think where we should go from here, since this conversation has reached its natural conclusion, is on what last episode it was me and talking about kind of a bit of my story. And
it was.
I think we should segue. This was such a smooth segue here into some of your story.
Yes. So should we recap on what you briefly spoke about last week before I jump in?
Yes. So basically, I spoke about part of my story where someone essentially said,
because we're talking about the script here and how the script evolves.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is how, not even how it evolves. I just don't.
Apologies.
No.
Wrong terminology.
No,
I'm getting sacked.
The terminology is actually fine. Let me explain myself, right? I actually really like the word evolve. And I like to use the word evolve over the word change because people don't like the word change, but people like evolution.
Yeah.
So I don't like to use evolution for the script because the script's a dick. It doesn't get the use of the nice words. It gets crap words that I don't like for any other reason.
Okay.
So that's my only.
Fine.
But you can say evolve if you want.
I'll keep my job.
That's my thoughts on. I just really like thinking about myself evolving into the person that the person that I want to be, the person that I deserve to be.
Yeah.
And I like to say the word evolve to people as well because people like that word, and the word change scares people. And it's the script that's getting scared. So I found also the word evolved is a nice way around that.
Yeah.
You know?
Be roundabout. Yeah, absolutely.
I just say I repeat myself.
Yeah.
Well,
he likes the word evolve, guys.
Anyway. So I was talking about something. It was largely about how the script would basically take this small event and create this entire identity around it that I would never choose.
Yeah.
So someone said I was boring, a friend of mine when I was like 13 or 14, something I didn't expect, something that wasn't my perception of our relationship. And because he said it to me, the script at the time that I didn't know created this whole identity that it wasn't really, it was that I can't communicate. Like created all this social anxiety essentially. And and that's what you say in hindsight is silly. Like it's someone said I'm boring, and then I allowed allowed the script to create this identity that lasted decades of how I am as a person. It's something I would have never chosen. It's something I allowed the script to choose for me, and then I just thought it was who I was. And it wasn't until I learned about the script many years later and then realized, I would have never chosen that identity, so it wasn't me, so it's not me.
Yeah.
And then I was able to and that the script and the identity haven't really gone anywhere. It's just that I have now started to become much better at disowning them because I would never have chosen them in the first place. So that's what happened last week with me.
Yes.
And this week we're going to listen to Sarah tell us a little bit about your story.
See, when someone says that to you,
yes,
I immediately am like, oh no, we cannot talk about myself.
Which is fair enough, but you've also this has been coming for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know, which has made it worse. I think I've been trying to avoid it. No, I don't want to avoid it. It's just that way you're like, the script just comes in as like, I didn't feel self-deserving to change my infusion set last night, never mind talk about myself. It's funny, it's weird.
So where would you like to start?
I think something that whenever you first told me your story,
yes,
I was like, wow, he had like a defining moment. And I was like, I don't have a defining moment. And it wasn't even like, so obviously you've had practice with telling your story whenever you're like creating content or you've gone on your BC course. You've had moments where you've been able to tell your story. This is kind of like the first time I'm presenting my story, like I'm telling my story to you and people of the interweb.
People of the interweb.
So I do apologize if it comes across a bit higgledy-piggledy. I'm still trying to work it out for myself because I'm still very new in this journey of learning about the script. However, I do feel like it's important to share because I feel like I might be a bit more like reachable. I feel like your story is not, I'm not saying it like it's clean cut. I'm just saying the way that you say it is very clear and understandable, some people may not be at that level yet.
What do you mean?
So like you feel like you've got a moment in which the script identified itself.
Yes.
I don't have that. And there may be other people who resonate with me more and may resonate with you more, which I think is really good.
We actually already spoke with this. In terms of my story around communication and that is true. But then if I was to I have the script's also created this big identity around procrastination for me, and that I'm a major procrastinator. And it wasn't that there was like this one moment where I was like, someone just told me, I'm like, you're never going to succeed. And then I just became, I'm never a procrastinator. It's like, it's just something that's just built slowly over time, which is kind of what you're saying now about whatever it is you're going to talk about. But
I think they're good sides of the coin, I guess.
I also don't think that
it provides different things for other people to resonate with in that regard, just because they're slightly different, which is good.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, I guess in the sense though, it was it is still something that built over time.
Of course, yeah.
It was more a case of that's the moment.
I'm not saying at that moment when you're like, 12, 13, like, that's it, I can't talk now.
Well, yeah, exactly. it was something that built over time.
Basically pulls from that moment and builds evidence for the rest of your life.
Totally.
It's just that core memory is very, it's hypervigilant in your mind.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the best of memories, and the fact that I can remember that so clearly is yes.
But it's just ironic because then I was trying to take a step back and think about my journey and my story, and I was panicking, and the script was telling me like, well, ha, you don't have a moment, so I don't exist. Then I've been battling for like 2 weeks to be like, how do I tell my story? I don't know what my story is, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to have a clear route. It can be a bit more sneaky. It can be a bit more like all over the place. And there's things I'm still working through even now, like as you are with like kind of procrastination and your work ethic and whatnot. There's things that you still don't really understand. However, I did take a bit of a think, and
there's not really right or wrong.
No, I know. I just wanted to explain it in a clear way so it wasn't confusing or a bad story. Anyway.
Just a script, mate.
So as I've said in the past, I feel like I've struggled on some level with like socializing and communication, but there's different elements of it that I don't struggle with and some things that I do. And I was trying to think back, and I remember if I had to speak up in class or had to ask to go to the bathroom, or I don't know, like I was always said I was really quiet in my school reports, like obscenely quiet. Like I had to speak up. Not that I'd make more of an effort. I was always a good student, but I just didn't speak. So that always played on my mind that like my parents would feed that back to me, and I'd be like, I don't know how to, like, if I raise my hand up in class, I always get really, really nervous. And back then I didn't know what it was. I just had this like butterflies in your stomach kind of feeling, but you're a child, so you don't know. Now I do know it was, whether it be anxiety or the script or whatever. From a socializing point of view, I never struggled to make friends. I would meet people in my class. I would introduce myself. I would be very friendly, and I would just make friends. However, my influx of friends, like they came and went quite quickly. So it was just a coincidence. I think people started at school, then they had to leave for whatever personal or family issues or whatever. So I would make friends quite quickly and then they would just go. So I've only got like a couple very fortunate, like lasting friendships, but I can make friends really easily, but then it wouldn't really always stick. As well as that, I would play a lot of sports throughout the whole of school, and I made really close friendships within those like sports teams or like co-curricular stuff that I was doing, but I never got invited to parties. But that's fine. It's not like I didn't have any friends or anything. I just didn't get invited to parties. Like I just wasn't in that cool crew, you know what I mean? So I knew how to speak to people on one level, but didn't know how to speak to people on like a party, like socializing level. So then the second that school ended and I went to uni, I had no idea what to do. I was going to parties in which I whether had to talk about myself, which you can clearly see I don't enjoy, or I had to converse on some other level, while before I had something that united us. So whether it be whatever sport I was playing, or I was in the pipe band for a while, again, all of that had like such a camaraderie, and you're doing it for each other. You're in a sport. You didn't really have to talk about yourself. You did in some way, but I think it was masked by what I was doing. So then all of a sudden I was going to uni. I was making all these friends. I didn't have sports to like unite us. It was either I made friends within my course of my class, but I really struggled without having something to unite us. And I just had to like do small talk at a party, and I don't do very well at that. So then from then on, I felt like it was a sliding downhill, and the script just got louder and louder and louder. And then COVID was the time where my brain just completely left the building. And after that, coincidentally, I met you. From then on, I feel like I even remember talking to you about it. Maybe it was in our first date, and I had like phone people at work. They're in the same building. And I had to like practice like 10 times in my head to be like, this is what I'm going to say. This is how I'm going to say it. Even if I had to go through and speak to somebody in the other room, I really, really struggled. And I had to like practice so much. And no matter how much I practiced, it never made it easier. I think I was just maybe ramping myself up, but it really gave evidence to the script. But I think it arrived gradually and slowly. And there was a couple of instances that just all of a sudden made me feel like very vulnerable. I think sport and like co-curricular things I was doing with people, like I really, and that's why I love like fitness classes so much. And I prefer doing that rather than like, I don't, maybe it doesn't really make much sense, but I love the group activities where you're like doing things with people and the vibe that you get off one another and you meet people through that. But me going to a party and trying to meet someone or like make friends, it's a lot harder for me. But for me, I think that's how the script kind of developed. It didn't really come shooting out and being like, oh, here we are. It just sort of built up gradually. And obviously I only really ever learned about the script maybe must be 3 years ago now whenever I first met you. But see, when you told me about it, it was like a penny dropped. So I'm not saying like, yes, communication, more socializing and trying to speak to people or ask people questions I probably struggle more with. But when it comes to like romantic relationships and trying to be vulnerable with someone, like I think most people on some level struggle with that. But I needed a lot of reassurance, especially at the start of us dating. Like I thought you were going to leave me or like I wasn't good enough for you. And it all comes back to self-deserving. But whenever you told me about the script in that moment, it was great. Literally was like a penny dropping because all those things I was thinking in my head and you said, well, would you choose to believe that? And I was like, yeah, well, of course not. And then I started telling myself the fact, like, would I choose to believe this? No, of course he's not. He would only leave me if whether we didn't have the same feelings or you didn't feel the same about me anymore. But rationally, any other reason, there's no way you're just going to leave. And it took a lot of convincing myself, but I did get there.
You hear?
Yeah. So I guess it just comes in different ways for everybody. But I think for me, it took a lot of realization to be like, because I used to battle with it as well. Because when I was younger, I didn't have a problem communicating and socializing. So I was like, why do I now? But it's a thing that's sort of built up over time.
It's also like, it's maybe a good example of like the script always wants it to be all or nothing. It's almost like how we're talking about the script being sneaky. Because it does it to me, where it's like social anxiety, right? Got that. And then it makes sense because for me, places like bars or parties are like the most triggering, or for the script are the most triggering from a social anxiety point of view. But that makes sense because when you're going to these places, the full point and expectation is to socialize.
Yeah.
Like when you go to a cricket thing,
Yeah.
it's, say you're going to cricket practice, it's probably more cricket with socializing on the side, or it's at worst or best, however you want to look at it, 50-50.
Yeah.
50% socializing. And if you go to the fitness class again, it's like at least half fitness, half socializing. So there's always this other component. Whereas if you go to a party, yeah, I suppose you could say half the component's drinking, but really it's all socializing.
But I think I might have been out recently. I was just, you know, where you're just people watching in the bar. And I was watching this like group of people and I was like, it sounds so sad because do I want to be those people? I don't know. But I was looking at them and they were just like there was like 4 people. They were all having a drink. They were looked like the best time ever. They were laughing, they were joking, they were chatting. And I was like literally watching them. And I was like, how are you enjoying yourself? When I know I'm going out for drinks and like even dinner, like see if I'm sitting opposite somebody and even with you, to be honest, if I know in some level, even if we go out and I know we have to sit down there and start a conversation, for some reason I'm there and I can't start a conversation. But if we go out for a walk or if we're just going for a drive. Says the girl who does
the podcast every week.
I know.
But no, well, to finish my point, this is what I mean when the script turns it on its head and makes an all or nothing thing. So parties, bars, completely about socializing. So the script's like, oh, if you're not succeeding in those environments, then like you're just not succeeding. That's the comparison it's making, where it's like, it is also a case if you're someone who's not had the identity and the practice of being very social, it's probably, don't worry about those places. Just start small and start a great place to start is in groups where you have something to talk about, where it's like, I've gone to like a book club.
Yeah.
And the book is like Lord of the Rings, right? I know we're going to talk about Lord of the Rings and read the book. It's going to make talking about it really easy.
Yeah.
because I know exactly where you're going there to talk, or any social club that's like that. And then eventually, once you start to get more comfortable and you start to really feel that identity growing of, oh yes, I am someone who is social and can be social, and this is just the social anxiety is this made up thing from the script, that it's just this identity it's given me that I would never choose. You start to get better at showing up as who you really are, and then eventually you can go to the bar in the club and it's just no problem, or the bar in the party. But it's like, don't worry about being there straight away. It's like, it's okay to realize that you're just not quite there yet and you'll build up to it. It's like if I took up diving, I'm not going to be like, oh, I need to just dive off the highest board possible. I'd kill myself.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, I'm going to start on the board that's like 1 foot above the water and be like, get used to just the springiness of the board and get used to maybe being able to flip into the water, and then I'll worry about going up a wee bit and up. And then after a year, I'm at like the super high boards.
Wow, that's impressive.
Thank you. Or however long it takes. I've never done diving.
Not a year.
I don't know.
Maybe you'd be pro. I don't know.
I'm not saying I'd be any.
You just picked the most like difficult sport.
Well, diving. I think diving's the most difficult sport.
One of the most difficult sports. Have you seen Tom Daly doing his topsy-turvy things? They're insane. Anyway.
Difficult sport.
It's really difficult.
I'm not... Oh,
but if you jump off the wrong way, you're going to break your neck.
That is true. I mean, if you get hit the wrong way in rugby, you're going to break your neck.
I know, but...
But...
Diving has a bit more technical skills.
Rugby must be more endurance than diving.
No, it's not. Have you watched his documentary? Anyway.
You're telling me that diving is more endurance than rugby?
Have you seen what he has to do when he jumps off that high board?
Have you ever watched a rugby game?
Yes, of course I have.
Remember that Ireland game we watched was the Six Nations last year? Like half the Ireland team were out with injuries. Yeah. Remember that game?
Yeah, but Tom Daly, I don't know. I feel like diving's pretty intense.
I'm not saying it's not hard. I'm not saying that you can't get injured. But we've ended up in this conversation. I think rugby's more endurance than diving.
Well, yeah, isn't it
like professional level?
Isn't a rugby player running into like a 30-mile-an-hour car coming towards you?
Probably. Seen some of those boys. Aye, probably.
I would be dead.
I'd probably be dead.
Well, I'd be deader.
You would be deader. That is fair. We have 3.5 minutes of recording time left. Do you have any closing thoughts about your story?
You felt like you're going to say something else.
I was just going to say, the reason I held back is because I'm going to talk him forever and we'll get 3 minutes. It's just, you didn't get a lot of time to tell your story. Probably
I know, I love the length of time I told my story.
I think it's something we should definitely pick up in the next episode, perhaps. You can talk a bit more about it.
Okay, if you think so.
Yes, and so do you, bloody script. It'd be nice to dive into a little bit more.
Okay.
And this is what I'm about exposure therapy. Maybe because I think we did actually try and sit down and do this before, and it was just basically a little bit of whole episode.
Guys, it was awful. It was terrible.
It's just that case of I know the script's really getting you about it, so just you don't have to do the whole episode. You've done a little bit of this episode, and
I hope it was okay.
It was fantastic. You can't get your story. That's the thing. You can't get your story wrong.
It's not that. It's just I want to say it nicely.
It's just that you're listening to the script. Compare you to me.
Yes, and you're the script founder, and I'm just a wee little.
I am not the script founder.
Yes, well, it feels like you are to me. I know you're not, but it feels like you're.
Everything I'm saying about the script
and I'm here.
Is like, the basis of it's not something that someone else taught me.
Yes, I know that, but
I mean,
script will come in and get me about that too.
I've obviously
I don't feel like I'm deserving to sit here and talk about this with you. I feel like I'm here as your buddy to help you.
That's not true.
I know, but that's what the script says to me. So then I have to sit here and talk about myself in the script. I'm like, well, I'm a fake, aren't I?
We did speak of this on another podcast. It's like, there is a part of, obviously you're new to telling your story, and we're at different points in our fitness journey as well, and like our awareness of the script are at different points, but it's like the script still says that stuff to me. Like, fitness is maybe a good example. You're a much earlier point in your fitness journey than I am in mine, but the script still tells me like I'm a fake and I'm an imposter with it all the time. The script of course there is a part where it's like, oh, I'm actually new at something, so it's okay that I feel a bit like I don't know what it's okay to admit that you don't know what's going on here, like with the diving. I've just taken up diving. It's okay that I don't it's okay that I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I can learn.
Are you going to start?
No. Too injurious.
I think you have to.
Too injurious, apparently.
I thought rugby's more injurious. You'll be fine.
That is true. It is more injurious.
Well, you can do diving then. You'll be fine. And it's like jumping into a pillow.
I never said diving wasn't, and like you couldn't get injured diving. Anyway.
I'm going to buy you a lesson.
How long have we got left?
It's probably over now.
No, we've got... Anyway, that was a good bit of waffle at the end there. I think, I think we should definitely dive into this again and talk a little bit more your story. Yeah, and you'll just get better at it the more you tell it. And
Yeah.
well, I was just going to say we're at different points in our fitness journey, but the script will always say, for example, that it tells me, it's like in the beginning, you don't actually know what you're doing. So the script's like, you don't know what you're doing, you're crap. And then eventually you do learn what you're doing. But the script still kind of finds other reasons to tell you that you're not enough and that you're crap and you don't really know what you're
It's
doing.
the same way as you like get better at your job or end up in a higher role or higher level. You'll always find something else to worry about. But you look at your superior to be like, oh, they've got their shit together, don't they? But everybody's got some sort of something going on in their head.
Yeah, it's...
No matter what age you are, whether you're like 15 or you're 60.
Yeah, whoever you've put on a pedestal, they're at the end of the day, they've got all their own like shit going on in their head, and they've got the script as well, and they're dealing with a whole set of
and I think
problems
that's an
struggles.
amazing realization, because anytime you get promoted or you start a new job, you go in at it being like, oh my God, I can't do this. But give it 3 to 6 months and you will find your feet. You just need to give yourself like time and grace in the fact of like, I'm not going to start diving and be perfect at it, guys. You know, so you might be like,
got to take at least a year before you can go pro.
But yeah, I think it's just remembering that, because we all started somewhere. It's just people forget that they did start somewhere. They were an assistant, they were an intern, they were their first time in the gym. But people forget it. And then I think whenever they're trying to teach somebody else, I'm not saying you do this, but other people, if they're trying to teach somebody, they forget that they were in their position once.
Yeah, keep talking. Yeah, I need to check the time on the phone just to make sure we've not totally botched this.
Welcome. But yeah, so I just think it's a really important thing to remember.
We have 30 seconds left.
Well, I think that's a good time to round up.
Yeah, that was a really good finish there. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I need to wrap up quick because we're about to cut off. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Yeah. Thank you if you made it this far as well. Very appreciative.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week. Bye.